This is Mega Man 11. The 11th in the Mega Man franchise. I actually have not played most Mega Man games in the Mega Man... Well, I think most people have not played most Mega Man games as a franchise. But in terms of the main series Mega Man... Let's actually start a new game. In terms of the main series Mega Man, I've only played 1, 2, 3, and 9. I personally liked 9 probably the best. I think I waver between 1 and 9. I think 1 was my first Mega Man game. That was like maybe 2008 or something like that. But yeah. So I think something that I kind of ran into with Mega Man playing 9, 1, 2, and 3, especially since 9 was like a throwback to 2, is that it didn't feel like it was evolving fast enough for me. And then also they were getting easier, I felt like, not just in terms of like skill wise, also like Mega Man 2 had a easy mode in Japan that was the normal mode in America. I selected normal mode for this one, but yeah, and so I like blew through Mega Man 2 with zero trouble at all. So yeah, I just kind of burned out on the series, but because I enjoyed Mighty Number 9 so much, I felt it was appropriate that I check out Mega Man 11. And this screen should look pretty familiar to you. I didn't think about what stage I wanted to go into first. I think most people have seen the Blockman stage. I feel like Fuse Man stage was fairly easy to get through. We may not actually beat any of these stages while we go through here. Because I'm probably going to try to show off multiple stages, and then I'll probably switch over to my main save file, which has all the weapons unlocked at this point. So you have rush jump. You can also slide like other Mega Man games. There's a nice little like turn animation if you turn around before you finish sliding. Yeah, and then you have the charge gun at the very start. The main difference in this game is you have the ability to oh boy, you have the ability to essentially slow down time. So if I do this, time slows down, and you see it uses that gear energy that shows up on screen, which is also on the left side of the screen. It shows you as it goes down. You basically, that gear energy is like a part of a pool. So you have the slowdown, and then you also have the power up mode, which makes you basically shoot faster. And if you charge your Buster, you do 2 shots. I haven't found much use for power mode outside of they do add additional effects for weapons. So if there is a weapon that ouch, if there is a weapon that that has like the ability to like I'll show it later. It'll be easier to show it than sit here and try to explain it. But you know, for the core series, basically it's this, or the core gameplay before you start getting weapons. It's basically just that slow down the double shot on the Mega Buster. Ouch. What I feel like though, like the thing you'll find is that neither of those gears are particularly let me try to, dang it. Neither of those gears are particularly like necessary in any situation. There's definitely some enemies that are built to kind of make use of that slowdown. But really what it's mainly for is like the ability to just like react a little better. So I'll try to see if I can find a spot like oh, I missed that, and so I'm like, I'm just gonna do this and slow down time, and it gives me more time to like think about what I'm doing. Or if I want to time that shot better, I can slow down time and then, you know, be able to release the trigger faster than if I were to just be trying to do it on my own. It kind of just gives you the ability to be a bit more effective. I'm on the wrong side. Or be more precise with your timing. Without actually having to get better at the game. I think accessibility is something that really this game probably does best. Basically, in addition to the double gear system, just kind of making things easier, like making the timing of a lot of things easier to do. So like if I want to do this, I can just make sure I'm like being as precise as possible with my movement there, because I get time to get in there and just like really make sure my back's against the wall, and then also make sure the I'm moving through that area fast enough. I say as I'm doing a terrible job of getting through this. But there's a lot of like upgrades and abilities you can buy in this game, which I don't think is something particularly new. I think Mega Man 9 had a store as well. Oh, dang it, I jumped too soon. So we can do this, and then just make sure we get up there before the other laser comes. Nice. So there's like a lot of upgrades and stuff you can buy. And what I like about it is that even though they're like upgrades that really help make the game a lot easier to get through, they never feel, I don't remember this boss. Oh, whoops. They never feel like they're over-empowering, but it does make the game a bit easier. I think I used some sort of weapon on this fight when I was doing this. This was not my first stage when I originally played. But when you're playing pretty much just bare bones, it's pretty challenging. Like, I would say as challenging as at least the first few were. I still need to replay Mega Man 2. The checkpoints are also pretty brutal as well in terms of just like you get maybe, well, I don't know if they're brutal per se. You get maybe 3 or 4 per stage, but it does go back quite a bit. So be prepared to do a lot of the same sections over and over again, especially if you're not very good at these kind of games. I would not say I'm very good at Mega Man games. I would say I'm okay at them at best. But I've definitely gotten to the point that like I've kind of played this game enough that I feel kind of done with it, and so I have started like delving into the upgrades and stuff. It's same system as like the Mega Man 9 and 10, where like you get screw drops and then you spend those screws to buy items. But I'm just trying to think like there's an item you can buy that basically like helps that makes it so the next time you touch spikes it's not insta death. Oops, I'm done. The next time you touch spikes, it's not insta death. There's Beat, who will like basically save you out of a pit, and so like if you still have to play the level well, because you can't just have like a full set of those items. Dang it, I'm doing bad. You can't just have like a full set of those items. I find that using the speed up skill is better than using the power skill for killing bosses. I'm not really sure why. Ah, shit. Oh, never mind. I thought that was something else. There's these enemies that spawn with that same animation earlier in the game, and I hate the enemies. There we go. But there are like some enhancements, like more enemies drop health and stuff like that. So like depending on what you're struggling with, there's an upgrade for you really, and you still have to play particularly somewhat well with you know, yeah. Like with you can only carry like 3 beats and 3 of those spike shoes, so like you still have to mostly dodge that stuff. But if you're just like one particular spot you're having some trouble with, you can like dodge all the spikes except for in one spot. It really gives you a lot of room to go ahead and like just get past that one part. Whoops. Yeah, I figured that was gonna happen. I'm coming from the wrong side on this. I don't know what I'm doing. Not thinking is what I'm doing. Also, jumping on those is bad. But it's hard to play video games while also talking about them. That's why I do videos. Although quick play streams haven't been that bad, I feel like, but who knows. But everything in this game, like you can do without the upgrades, you can do without the double gear system. Like everything in this game, you can just do. Let's see. I think we started late, so I'm not gonna rush through this level right now. I do want to show off one of the other stages, one stage in particular that I do like in this game. But maybe we'll try to get through this stage at the very least. Or at least get to a game over screen. Ah, shoot. Considering we're almost dead. Okay. So here's like where speed gear is helpful, because I can just get up, get in there, make sure I get through there before the deadly things start. I'm like, I can basically go as fast as possible. If you overuse it, you basically get this electric effect around you, and you can't use it for a little while. So, oh, nope. But again, any of this stuff you can do without it. You just have to be, you know, precise. It essentially becomes a normal Mega Man game once you stop using the double gear system. My biggest criticism of the double gear system probably is that even though there are enemies that make use of it, it never really feels necessary. So it doesn't really feel like much of anything in terms of like, it's not used in any kind of creative way. It's not like, there's never a part that really feels like clever use of the double gear system. It's always just you kind of using it to ease the pain, which isn't a terrible thing. Again, I think the accessibility stuff in this game, making sure that, like, you know, everyone can play it is, or get through it, is a good thing. But I think I always prefer a developer to go out of their way to build stuff around a concept, rather than just say, you can use this if you want. Like, we put this thing in the game, but you don't have to use it. But I do know other people who are the other way around, where they like, I don't want anything to do with the double gear system. I just want to play the Mega Man, and that's fine too. Yeah, the power gear, for some reason, and maybe, you know, at the end of the day, when you slow down time, Mega Man's still moving the same speed. There is an ability to make Mega Man not move the same speed, but I find that to be less helpful for moments like these, where I just want to like platform through an area quickly, or maybe more of like areas where like I'm trying to be careful about where I'm landing, because I'm still moving at full speed. Oh, there's an E-tank down there. I didn't even realize that. If I'm still moving at full speed, it doesn't particularly help me like perform better in that regard. Ooh. Oh shit. I need to stand here till I get my thing back. That was pretty tight timing. Again, you could do that without the speed gear, but I imagine it's pretty tough. Okay. Ah, boy, I'm dumb. Let's just go up. Okay. One thing I really like about Mighty Number 9 is that it has a pretty hefty set of story for a lot of the characters. The Mighty Numbers and stuff. You don't really get that in Mega Man games, I feel like. Okay, we're at the boss. I can go ahead and use this E-tank. We're gonna need it. You don't really get that with a lot of Mega Man games, as far as I've played at least, and this game's no different. Like, you come into these areas and they'll have like a one-liner that they say, and then you never really hear from them again. The opening does have a bit of dialogue from like one of them, but nothing that's like particularly Ow. I should have charged before I came in. Ow. I think I had the weakness to this guy when I fought him, so I didn't have to learn his patterns so much. We're not doing terrible right now. The speed gear is actually very helpful for doing these fights on the first go, because you get a lot of time to really learn their patterns. We might do this. Nope. Nope. Oh, we got close. Close enough. We basically beat him. So yeah. Let's see. Let's head over to another stage real quick before I swap over to my other character save file. Bounce Man stage is pretty rad. It looks like it's going to be a nightmare. And at times it can be a nightmare, but I like it a lot. So the first room is pretty normal. Music's pretty alright too. I use it in the podcast this week. But basically, you have these bounce pads here. And Mega Man just bounces the whole time he's on these. I don't know if this is something that was in any previous Mega Man games. Again, there are a lot of Mega Man games. So when you're on these bounce pads, if you hold X, you start bouncing higher. I originally was trying to like jump in time with the pads, and I was having a really hard time. You just want to hold X, just as a heads up. So this whole stage is based around like bouncing. And it gets to the point that there's basically no, there's no like normal ground around most of the time. I think this whole, no, we're not quite there yet, but it's just a nice like different way to move. I feel like, I would probably compare it to like the water stages in Mega Man games, where you know, it does really give you a different. Dang it, I didn't make it. This is terrifying, because like getting through this jump. This is like the part of balancing on stage where you're like, oh my gosh, I want to die. There we go. Because you're like trying to get through a little narrow path and you can't. I think it should be fine. There we go. And yeah, so it just feels really different, and like you can't sit there and just like, you know, camp and shoot somebody for the most part. You have to, because you're bouncing, you have to constantly kind of try to line up with them a little bit. Or really just spray and pray, because they're also bouncing. And then enemies can also bounce off objects and stuff too in this level, so you gotta be careful about that. So yeah, it's just a really fun stage. I don't know how far I want to go in this per se. Oh, dang it. It is challenging at times like these. There we go. I don't know if this is true for other Mega Man games, but the like power-ups and one-ups and stuff like that right there, they only appear once as far as I can tell. Like even if you get a game over or something, you get this one up, it's just gone. So, you know, it's not hard to get one-ups because you can buy them, so it's not like you're losing a major resource or anything like that. But it's just weird to me that, like, typically, I guess, like, if you get them on your first playthrough, I feel like most levels you're not going to beat on your first playthrough. At least if you're not, like, you know, fully equipped with the enemy weapons or weaknesses and stuff like that prepared. You know, I feel like the real Mega Man experience is the first like 3 to 4 levels where you don't really have anything to combat, or to like, you don't really have any of the weaknesses to combat other enemies for the most part. So you either got to just brute force it, or you got to go and find which boss has the weakness to the weapon that you did get. Like the first level, you always just kind of have to brute force. It's an interesting pace that I like quite a bit. Let me see if I can. These dang hands. Take that. Okay. But yeah, there's like a brute force phase, I feel like, to the beginning of Mega Man games. That like at some point you just gotta beat a level, and then you can worry about cheesing it with the weapons later. Although I really find myself mainly using the Mega Buster when playing these, at least in terms of the stages. I guess that part of that kind of comes from the Kirby thing that I kind of complain about with the powers in Kirby, where it's like, oh, the developers never really know like what powers you have, so they can't really create any particular situations to really challenge you to use certain powers. Obviously in Wily's Castle it's a bit different, but you can also run out of weapon energy, so they have to be able to have you complete it otherwise as well. So but you know, then that's where the community gets creative and like making the challenges, or you know, figuring out where to best use weapons and stuff on their own. Yeah, like for some reason, just speed gear and like laying bullets into the boss is like the most effective strategy, I feel like, for at least a lot of these early bosses. Oh, jeez, I forget about those guys sometimes. Got tricked. Oops. Yeah. I guess that's it for Bounce Man Stage. I just think it's a neat gimmick. There are cases like, I think this might be the only case in the level. We'll give you a spoiler though. Get rid of that thing. Let's see if we can get over here. Like this, if you go on this platform and get knocked back, it throws you back instead of forward. So it's like, oh, you should have not done that. But at least it doesn't kill you. I think that's maybe one thing this game does a lot better than old Mega Man games and maybe Mighty Number 9 is that like old Mega Man games like to kill you. And then you just kind of deal with it and memorize not to die at that part next time. Mega Man 11 doesn't have a lot of that. There's definitely moments where that happens, but I think there's always the argument that like, oh, when you see something, you can slow down time and react to it. So I do think there's a lot of, again, I think this game is a lot easier than a lot of other Mega Man games. I wonder if could you go back and do the other. I guess I could show the equipment stuff here. So, oh, that's the save screen. How do I get back to the my equipment page? Submenu? Okay, yeah. So all the weapons there. You can buy E-tanks. You can increase the amount of stuff you can hold. So like an item that halves all damage. This guy randomly summons weapons for you. I think he's been in the series for a while. I don't have any beats right now. I do have some spike protectors right now. Really, I could afford to buy and max out these on every single stage at this point, but I kind of try to avoid them on my first playthrough. It's only like, I only bought these spike shoes because I had one particular jump I was having a problem with, so I just bought a full set so I could just get through that part, because I had died there like 8 times. I was like, alright, I'm ready to see the rest of this level and beat this video game. But yeah, here are like the upgrades and stuff, and I don't have all of them yet, but basically like this one, some of them are like attached. So this one, you can drop more money or you can drop more health. You also have the ability to upgrade the number of container E-tanks you can hold and things like that. And all these are unequipable as far as I can tell. So like, if you just want to play the core Mega Man experience, you can just do that. But if you're just like, hey, I just want to beat this video game, I think it's worth just going ahead and upgrading or buying these things and just like, you know, getting what you can. The only thing I do turn off is right now is the speed gear booster, which makes it move normal speed when time slowed down. I think there are benefits to that. I might actually turn it back on, but I'll leave it off for now. We'll just do a Wily stage real quick, and I'll mess with some of the weapons, and then I think maybe we'll call it a night in that case. For some reason, when I first came here, I did not realize you could jump on these screws, and I was like, oh, I guess I have to use Rush to get up here, which I don't think Rush even makes it. Yeah, he doesn't. I have an auto charger, so like it automatically charges my charge shot, which is nice. I also have like increased bullet size. Again, like every part of it's just like, hey, we're gonna help you beat this video game. In a way that feels very like, the upgrade system doesn't feel like it's like the game's ever expecting you to do it per se. So here's like an enemy that's like designed for you to use the speed booster. Again, you don't have to, but that's just like a very clear like, oh, this is the most effective way to beat this enemy is use the speed booster. So this is where I'm at on my main file. So I'm still on Wily's Castle. I only started it. I have not beaten it yet. Oh yeah, I was gonna show off some of the weapons. So apparently I was almost dead. So you can just switch between them using L and R, which is fine. You can also use the analog stick. I personally just press start and select the one I want to use. And then so like with this one, you can like shoot balls that bounce around. But then if you turn on your power gear, it shoots a lot more balls. And this one you can actually aim up and down, which is kind of neat. And so yeah, it's basically just like your pretty typical set of Mega Man skills. I think maybe the one that's a little broken is this Tundra one. It just covers the entire screen. But yeah, I like this one a lot because it doesn't give you a barrier. And when you get hit, it actually reflects shots back at the enemy. So, oh, I didn't get shot at though. Let's see. Let me see if I can get someone to shoot me. Bleep. Oh, maybe it doesn't. I've seen it do it before, so let me try if it's. Let me see if it's the power-up version. Okay, the power-up version fire stuff back at enemies at like an angle. So yeah, it's a neat move. So yeah, I guess that's kind of it. You also get Rush Jet. Spoilers. But yeah, I probably feel like I don't really have anything else to say about the game. I think it's a great game. I think, you know, considering, you know, how people feel about Mighty Number 9, even if I disagree, you know, this was the right game in terms of what they made. I personally wanted more out of the double gear system. I would prefer to have a game built around that system rather than just a choice of, hey, you can do this if you want, but hey, you don't have to if you don't want to. But again, I think that's personal preference. I think a lot of people just wanted a good-ass Mega Man game, and I think that's the case with this. And I think if you wanted a good Mega Man game, you probably already bought this. You're probably not waiting for my opinion on it. But I don't think anyone's waiting for my opinion on any game for the most part. But yeah, it's yeah, I think it's perfectly fine. It's a perfectly fine Mega Man game, and it's been, you know, a good 8 years since there has been one. So yeah, I talk about the game a little bit more in my podcast, but it's pretty much reiterating most of the stuff. I think I have kind of covered everything I want to say about the game, though. Again, I think it's just a really nice game in terms of, like, if you want to make this game easier, they give you a lot of ways to do it that don't feel like I have all these upgrade equipped. This game still feels challenging to some extent. Like, I think that's what's important. You know, you can do like easy mode and just kind of blast your way through it. But oh, welcome back and feeling like shit. I'm about to finish up. But yeah, it's I think it's just it's a really, oops, I forgot about that. Just a really easy way to get, you know, into a Mega Man game. If you've never played one before, I think this is a great place to start. If you want just another Mega Man game, this is it. If you want something new like I do, this is not it. This is straight up just more Mega Man. So it's short though. So if you are curious, if you are working on your Mega Man hit list or whatever, don't do that. Don't do what I did there. Yeah. So I'll probably beat it at some point here. Probably try to do this weekend if I can. But I don't know if I'm going to really get any more out of it. Again, moment like that, you're like, oh, okay. Able to kind of, you know, get myself through there. Those enemies are like my least favorite. The ones that like explode into 6 different. Let's see how far I can get without dying. Whoops. And then we'll end it there. This actually might go quite a ways. We'll see. Disappearing blocks, everyone's favorite. I think it's here. Yep. And there. I forget what happens on this screen. Oh, there's one of those guys up there. I usually just use the Tundra on this guy. It's just easier to do that than actually try to hit him. Easy enough. Try to just give you some smooth gameplay, since I feel like me talking this whole time has made this a bit rougher than it probably needed to be. I forget how I handle this. Oh, you know what? I think I do Acid Shield. Nope, wrong one. Oh. And just block everything as I go through here. Then I want it to refresh. And go again. Well, I died. Rest in peace. It's one of those things that, like, eventually at some point, it's one of, like, you stop focusing too much on the screen and just kind of let your hands take you to the end of the level. So, yeah. That's Mega Man 11.
Stand on the threshold of the final battle. Please be fully prepared before you go
I'd say it's a better one. Top tier or not? I'm not sure. You know, I haven't beaten it yet, and I think when it comes to Mega Man, a lot of my feelings on Mega Man 2 and 3 are kind of due to how I feel about how a series should be handled. So, like, Mega Man 2, I have some issues with, mainly because I played it on easy. Because the American version's normal is the Japanese easy, and it's way too easy. You can just blow through that game, no problem. I need to replay it on hard just to kind of reassess the difficulty, I guess. But I mean, at the same time, I played through Mega Man 3, and I was kind of like, there's more of this. There's a lot more of this. And so, you know, when I play Mega Man 11, you know, the double gear system's nice, but I don't know if it really adds anything other than, again, I think the accessibility it adds, just like it makes the game, you know, really easy to customize and make it as hard or easy as you want it to be. You know, the challenge is there. If you play the game on normal and use just the standard stuff, it's very,
Okay, Mega, what'll it be?
it's very, you know, challenging, I guess. But yeah, I'd say in terms of just quality, I think it's right up there with the other Mega Mans I've played. Mega Man 9, I think, is a great Mega Man game. But I also think that I'm a bit more lenient to that one because it was one of the first ones I played. I played 1, 9, 2, 3, I think was the order I played it in. So I'm a bit more partial to 1 and 9. 2, I obviously have the difficulty issue with, but by the time I got to 3, I was just kind of done, I think. So I don't know. I might play through the rest of them later. I'd say I'd rather play Mega Man 11 over 3. But I know that's kind of probably blasphemy for a lot of people. 2 and 3 are like the holy grails of Mega Man, and they're my least favorite. So, but hey, what's new? Me hating the game everyone loves? Jeez. Who would have thought that? I don't hate them. They're perfectly fine games. I think, too, if I played it on hard, I probably would be a bit more fond, too. Or the Japanese normal. But yeah. Oh yeah, that's really all I have to say about it, I feel like. That's it for this week. Thanks for coming. I guess we'll maybe beat Lost Dimensions next time. I don't believe there's only 3 missions left, but maybe there are only 3 missions left. Who can say? It said the last battle, but, you know, Valkyria Chronicles 4 also says the last battle on, like, the 5th chapter. So, many video games have pulled that stunt. I will say I was a bit shocked that we did have to kill 2 people on a single judgment. I was not expecting that, but it makes sense given the tower, how it's built. But I guess I was just expecting to go with 7 and then there to be like another floor after that where you have to sacrifice someone, and we'll always remember Naki. Forever remember Naki. I'll try to figure out something next week as like a backup plan in case the game is only 3 missions long. I mean, I think it'll probably take a good hour or so to get through those still. So we'll see. But yeah, maybe we'll just try to finish Ghost Squad. I probably shouldn't stream more Ghost Squad. I would like to beat Ghost Squad, but we'll see. We'll see when and if that happens. That's a very, very repetitive game. I kind of feel like I've seen enough Ghost Squad in my life. But yeah. Yeah. That's it. Thanks for coming. I hope you feel better, Anthony. Don't feel like shit. Have a good night. I'll see you on Discord, though, Anthony, probably. Bye. Although it's almost 10. Jeez. All right. Bye.